I am taking on this humongous task just for you. Why? Because I love you, and so you better appreciate it, okay? Also, FYI, I am skipping all the filler episodes. Meet Luffy, a kid who ate a devil fruit that turned him into rubber because apparently being stretchy is worth never swimming again. Flash forward, and this absolute mad lad decides that he wants to become the Pirate King, says goodbye to his village, and sets off in a barrel. He gets captured by pirates, escapes, meets a coward named Kobe, and punches Alvida so hard that she flies into the stratosphere. The opening speech about dreams hits different when you realize that this journey takes over 1,000 episodes. Shanks lost an arm for this kid, and that somehow was a good investment. Luffy meets Roronoa Zoro, tied to a post because he took the fall for a little girl, and Marine Captain Morgan is a dictator with a metal jaw and a worse personality. The dude's son Helmeppo is maximum cringe, threatening to execute Zoro just for existing. Luffy decides this guy seems cool, feeds him some rice balls, and offers him a spot on his crew. Zoro agrees if Luffy gets his swords back. They proceed to demolish Morgan's entire base, with Zoro using 3 swords like an absolute psychopath. First crewmate acquired, and he's already the most built different swordsman alive. Flashback time! Luffy got his hat from Shanks, who sacrificed his arm, saving him from a sea monster, making Luffy promise him to return it when he becomes a great pirate. Cut to the present where they meet Nami, who's robbing pirates, and Buggy the Clown, who can split apart because devil fruits are wild. Buggy's crew is terrorizing a town, and he's big mad that Shanks is more famous. Luffy stuffs Buggy into a cage, Zoro's fighting a guy on a unicycle, and Nami is stealing everything not nailed down. Their dynamic is already perfect, and we're just 5 episodes in. Buggy is absolutely losing it because Luffy is immune to his best attack and keeps on calling him names. The fight gets serious when Buggy starts using his chop-chop powers creatively, but Luffy just grabs all of his body parts and beats him with them, which is both hilarious and effective. Nami joins the crew, but only for the money, apparently, which is the most tsundere recruitment ever. They steal Buggy's treasure and they sail off. 3 crew members, 1 ship, 0 brain cells between them. Well, not exactly. Nami is pretty smart. The Grand Line doesn't know what's coming. They arrive at Syrup Village and meet Usopp, a guy who lies so much that the entire village just ignores him when he screams about actual pirates attacking. His crew is 3 kids with slingshots. Kaya's butler, Klahadore, is actually Captain Kuro in disguise, planning to kill her for inheritance money after years of playing domestic servant. Usopp has severe abandonment issues because his dad left to be a pirate and his mom died waiting. Despite being a coward, he'll die protecting his village. The irony of nobody believing the boy who cried wolf when the wolves actually show up is painful. Kuro's plan falls apart because Luffy doesn't care about tactics, and Zoro's just better at sword fighting. Kuro uses his super speed claw technique that's genuinely dangerous, moving so fast that he's invisible and slicing everything. But Luffy just tanks the damage and punches him into the dirt because rubber powers are broken, and willpower trumps planning. Usopp defends Kaya despite being terrified and outmatched. They get the Going Merry as a ship. Usopp joins as a sniper, and his flag design is somehow worse than Luffy's drawing skills. 4 Straw Hats now, and still no brain cells. Welcome to Berity, the only restaurant on the ocean where the cooks will kick you harder than they'll cook food for you. Sanji shows up being the biggest simp in anime history, spinning around any woman while drop-kicking every man. He feeds a starving pirate, Don Krieg, who immediately betrays him because pirates are trash. Sanji's backstory with Zeph is devastating. They survived on a rock with no food, and Zeph gave him all of it while sacrificing his own leg. Now Sanji can't let anyone starve, and Zeph pretends to hate him while being the most supportive dad. The leg wasn't even needed for the peg leg look. Don Krieg shows up with a battered flagship and 50 ships worth of audacity, demanding food and the Berity itself because he's the biggest narcissist in the East Blue. Mihawk follows him for entertainment, casually destroys his fleet because he's bored, and then pulls out the world's strongest and tiniest sword to fight Zoro. Zoro loses badly, but earns respect by taking a chest slash without running. Sanji fights Gin, who's actually honorable, and Pearl, who's just annoying. Luffy beats Krieg with a broken mast, and Sanji finally joins the crew after Zeph tells them to chase his dreams. 5 down. Plot twist, Nami's been working for Arlong the entire time, stealing the Going Merry and breaking everyone's hearts. Turns out, Arlong is a fishman supremacist who's been terrorizing her village for 8 years and making her draw maps and charging villagers to exist. Nami made a deal to buy the village's freedom for 100 million berries, spending years stealing from pirates while pretending to be heartless. The village hates her, not knowing that she's sacrificing everything for them. Arlong's crew is legitimately dangerous, with underwater advantages that hit different. Depression arc activated before we even knew what those were. Nami's been one betrayal away from completely breaking for years. The village finds out the truth, prepares to fight Arlong despite having 0 chance, and Nami tries to stop them. She finally breaks down and stabs her Arlong pirate's tattoo repeatedly, and Luffy just puts his hat on her head without a word. She asks for help, and he walks toward Arlong Park, ready to delete everyone. The Luffy help me scene is peak fiction even 20 years later. Sometimes the best thing that you could do for someone is just show up ready to throw hands. No question, no judgment, just unconditional ride or die energy. Arlong Park raid time. Everyone gets matchups. Zoro fights Hachin the octopus while still injured from Mihawk, which is insane, but he actually wins anyway because, well, he's built different. Sanji's underwater fighting a fishman, which should be impossible, but simp energy transcends logic when he's protecting Nami. Usopp's doing his best and somehow not dying, which is its own victory, honestly. Arlong throws Luffy into an ocean tied to a boulder because fishmen have home advantage. But Nami and Sanji save him. It's chaotic, everyone's outmatched, but they're fighting for Nami's freedom, and that's enough. Nakama power activating. Luffy climbs to Arlong's map room where Nami has been trapped for years, sees her suffering crystallized in thousands of maps that she drew for her oppressor, and destroys the entire room because some rooms need to stop existing. He crashes through multiple floors fighting Arlong, who keeps on preaching fishman supremacy while getting bodied. Final clash has Luffy spinning like a helicopter and stomping Arlong through the building into the ground. Arlong Park collapses, the village is free, and Luffy gets his first ever wanted poster. Nami is officially a Straw Hat and finally smiles for real. The celebration is perfect. 6 crew members and infinite vibes. Well, wait, I guess it's still 5. I don't know. They roll into Loga Town, where Gold Roger was born and executed, so naturally Luffy wants to see the execution platform. Everyone splits up to shop. Zoro's looking for swords and meets Tashigi, who's identical to his dead childhood friend, which is emotionally complicated. Sanji's smoking and philosophizing, Usopp is buying supplies while lying, and Nami's doing what she does best, acquiring things with flexible payment plans. Luffy stands on the platform where the Pirate King died and declares that he'll become the next one. Buggy shows up for revenge with an execution setup because this clown never learns when he's outclassed. Buggy is about to execute Luffy on the same platform that Roger died on, which would be poetic if it wasn't stupid. Lightning strikes the platform at the exact moment though, saving Luffy in the most plot armor way possible. And later we find out that his dad, Dragon, was in town, which explains nothing and everything. Smoker shows up with smoke powers being absolutely cracked, faster than anyone in the East Blue, and chases them to the docks. Dragon stops Smoker mysteriously, and the crew barely escapes, and they enter the Grand Line through Reverse Mountain. The ocean goes upward because physics is a suggestion here. The new world awaits, and everyone's excited. Nobody is ready. They shoot up Reverse Mountain doing Mach 5 and crash into a whale the size of an island named Laboon. This whale's been headbutting the Red Line for 50 years waiting for a pirate crew that is definitely dead, and he's covered in scars and depression. Crocus explains the tragic story. Laboon's friends promised to return and never did. Luffy decides to fight the whale, which is the most Luffy solution possible, draws a terrible Straw Hat flag on him, and promises to come back for a rematch after they sail the Grand Line. Laboon stops trying to kill himself. Sometimes the best therapy is punching and promises. They land at Whiskey Peak, where everyone is super nice, which is immediately suspicious. Yeah, it turns out the entire town is Baroque Works bounty hunters trying to capture them. Zoro wakes up, realizes this, and defeats 100 agents while everyone sleeps because, well, he's cracked. Luffy wakes up, sees the destruction, doesn't get the context, and fights Zoro in the greatest misunderstanding fight ever. They're dead, even after Nami punches both their heads together. Vivi is revealed as a princess infiltrating Baroque Works. Mr. Five and Valentine show up with explosion powers, and Luffy agrees to help save Alabasta from civil war. New arc unlocked, Political Intrigue Edition. The crew lands on a prehistoric island with dinosaurs and two giants who've been fighting for 100 years because, well, I forgot why they started, but their honor won't let them stop. Dory and Brogy are absolute legends, and their duel is peak warrior respect. Baroque Works agents Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week show up and try to assassinate everyone with wax powers and paint hypnosis. Luffy, Vivi, and Nami get trapped in hardening wax. Usopp and Karoo have to clutch, and Luffy nearly breaks his legs escaping. Dory and Brogy help them escape with a giant attack that clears the path. Perfect island, giant respect earned, Nami gets sick. Nami got a plague because the Grand Line said choose death, and now she's dying with a life-threatening fever. They need a doctor immediately, but the next island is a winter wasteland ruled by King Wapol, who exiled all the doctors except for one. Luffy climbs a mountain in a blizzard carrying Nami and Sanji on his back, barefoot, getting frostbite because he refuses to let his navigator die. His determination is actually insane. Meanwhile, Wapol returns, and Dalton tries to defend the island despite being outmatched. Finally, they reach Kureha, the 139-year-old doctor who can save Nami. Sakura blossoms fall in winter. Something important is coming. Chopper's backstory drops, and it's devastating from start to finish. Born with a blue nose, rejected by reindeer, ate a devil fruit, and rejected by humans for being a monster. Hiruluk, a quack doctor, takes him in and shows him kindness for the first time. Hiruluk is dying but still believes that he can save the country's heart with cherry blossoms. Chopper brings him poisonous mushrooms, trying to help. Hiruluk eats the soup, knowing it's poison, because, well, he won't break Chopper's spirit, and then he blows himself up rather than die from illness. When do you think people die? When they're forgotten. Crying in the club at a reindeer backstory absolutely wrecked emotionally. Luffy has had enough of Wapol's existence and punches him so hard that he becomes a constellation, sending him flying across the country. Chopper learns Hiruluk's dream lives on through Kureha and the pink snow. He's been alone on this mountain for years, convinced that he's a monster, until Luffy says, "Shut up, let's go," and the crew accepts him completely. Chopper cries, joins as the ship's doctor, and finally has a family. Dr. Kureha fires the cannons with pink powder, creating cherry blossoms across the snow as they leave. He was a great man, wasn't he? The send-off is beautiful. 6 straw hats now, and Alabasta awaits. Luffy's older brother Ace shows up being cool as hell with fire powers, and the dynamic is immediately perfect. Luffy is chaotic stupid, Ace is chaotic genius. They share a backstory over food, and Ace is hunting Blackbeard, who killed a crewmate. Ace gives Luffy a Viver card, which points to him always, which definitely won't be important later in the most devastating way possible. Smoker is still chasing them because this man never gives up. Ace stops Smoker effortlessly, showing the power gap between East Blue and the Grand Line. He leaves to continue his hunt, and this is the last good time they'll have together. Everything is about to go wrong. Crocodile is built different, an actual tactical genius versus Luffy's punch harder strategy. First fight, well, Crocodile turns into sand, drains Luffy's water, and leaves him to die in quicksand. Luffy survives because of plot armor and stubbornness. They fight again. Luffy uses water and actually lands hits. And then Crocodile stabs him with a poison hook and buries him alive. Luffy should be dead twice over. Robin saves him for mysterious reasons. Meanwhile, Zoro's fighting Mr. One, who's literally made of blades. Sanji's having a mental breakdown about kicking women, and Usopp's somehow surviving against actual killers. The crew is scattered, outmatched, and refusing to lose. Crocodile's plan is diabolical. He's been orchestrating a civil war for years using Baroque Works agents to impersonate the king's army and commit atrocities, making the rebels think the king betrayed them. The country is tearing itself apart while he searches for Pluton, an ancient weapon. Vivi is trying to stop a war where both sides think they're justified. The Straw Hats are trying to race against time to reach the capital before 1 million people kill each other. Luffy is nearly dead from poison but keeps on moving. Crocodile is sitting back, watching his plan work perfectly, and it is genuinely stressful watching everything spiral. Pell, the Falcon Guardian, might be the most heroic character in this arc. A bomb designed to destroy the capital is about to explode, killing 1 million people. Pell grabs it, flies into the sky as high as possible, and lets it detonate in his arms, knowing he'll die. The explosion lights up the sky. Everyone thinks he's dead. He survives somehow because One Piece occasionally says no to consequences, but the intent was pure sacrifice. Meanwhile, the war is still raging, and Vivi's screaming herself hoarse trying to stop it. Nobody can hear her over the battle. Sometimes doing the right thing isn't enough. Luffy vs. Crocodile Round 3, and this time Luffy's using blood as water, which is metal as hell. Crocodile's losing it because this rubber idiot won't stay down despite being poisoned, dehydrated, and stabbed. They crash through the palace ceiling mid-fight. Luffy learns the ultimate technique, punching through bedrock. Final attack sends Crocodile up through multiple layers of stone, ending his plan and his consciousness. Rain finally lands on Alabasta after years of drought. The rebels and King's army realize that they've been manipulated. War ends, and Vivi has to choose between the crew and her country. She stays, but she's always a Straw Hat. X marks the spot. They land on Jaya looking for information about Sky Islands, and immediately meet Blackbeard in a bar, having the most philosophical conversation about dreams. A man's dream will never die. It's different knowing what's coming. Bellamy mocks Luffy for believing in Sky Islands, and Luffy doesn't fight back because, well, Shanks taught him that some battles just aren't worth it. Later, Luffy punches Bellamy into the ground in one hit for insulting his friends. They meet Mont Blanc Cricket, who's been diving for years to prove his ancestor wasn't a liar. The parallels to Usopp are intentional and painful. Sky Island is real. Cricket helps them modify the ship and explains the Knock-Up Stream, a massive geyser that launches ships into the sky with near zero survival rate. Bellamy's crew tries to steal the gold, and Cricket protects it despite being beaten, and Luffy shows up moving different after that Bellamy disrespect. They sail into a whirlpool towards a massive explosion of ocean. The Going Merry rides a vertical column of water going straight up at terminal velocity, while Sea Kings attack. They break through the clouds and land on a cloud sea. Sky Island is real. Mont Blanc's ancestor wasn't lying. Cricket hears the ship's bell from below, and everything paid off. Skypia's been at war for 400 years over land, which is wild when you're literally on clouds. The Shandians were kicked out of their homeland when it was launched into the sky, and they've been fighting to reclaim it ever since. Wiper is the most dedicated warrior with zero chill, using reject tiles that deal massive damage but destroy his own body. Enel's ruling as god with lightning powers, and his priests are actually dangerous with observation hockey. Before we knew what that was. The forest is an actual death trap, and Luffy's exploring like it's an amusement park while everyone is fighting for survival. Enel is genuinely terrifying. He can hear everything on the island with observation hockey, and he has unlimited lightning power, believing that he's invincible because, well, he basically is. He casually murders his own priests for losing. His plan is to destroy the entire Sky Island and sail to the moon in an electric arc, which is both insane and feasible. Nami, Sanji, and Usopp try to stop him and nearly die. Lightning can't be blocked. But then, Luffy shows up and Enel's whole worldview shatters because rubber is immune to electricity. The God Complex breaks down in real time. I am God! No, I'm gonna be the Pirate King. Peak disrespect. Enel transforms into a giant lightning form and starts destroying everything because if he can't be God, then nobody gets to exist. He's genuinely trying to genocide an entire Sky Island. Luffy fights him in the massive Golden Bell Tower while the island is falling apart. The fight's personal now. NL represents opposition and false divinity. Luffy represents freedom and dreams. Luffy grabs the giant golden ball in his arm, uses it to conduct a final attack, and sends NL into the stratosphere with the bell. The bell rings for the first time in 400 years. Cricket hears it from the ocean below and realizes Nolan's story was true, crying over a liar from the past. The Davy Backfighter is the most filler-feeling canon arc where they play literal games against Foxy for crew members, which is stupid, but also they almost lose Chopper permanently, so the stakes are real. Foxy has a slow beam that's annoying as hell. His crew cheats constantly, and the games are ridiculous. Luffy wins through sheer stubbornness and plot armor. They get a decrepit horse named Sherry and an afro for Luffy, which somehow makes him stronger. Not the most important arc, but it's wholesome chaos before everything goes wrong. Sometimes you need lighthearted pirate Olympics before emotional devastation arrives. Water 7 starts beautifully, a city of water with shipwrights everywhere, and they need the Mary fixed. Then everything collapses. The Frankie family beats up Usopp and steals their money. A shipwright examines the Mary and delivers the worst news. The ship is dying. The keel is broken and it can't be fixed. Luffy decides to get a new ship, but Usopp can't accept that, because the Mary is Nakama, and it's from Kaya. It's carried them this far. They argue for the first time seriously. Luffy says that they're getting a new ship, and Usopp challenges him to a duel and leaves the crew. Everything hurts suddenly. Luffy versus Usopp is the most painful fight in the series, because they're both right and both wrong. Usopp feels worthless, thinking that he'll be abandoned next if they discard the Mary, and fights with everything that he has. Luffy knows the ship can't continue, but he has to fight his friend who won't listen. Usopp uses every dirty trick, every weapon, and hurts Luffy genuinely. Luffy holds back until he can't anymore, and wins with a single punch. Usopp is barely conscious, saying he's leaving the crew. They walk away from their sniper lying in the dirt. The crew is crying. Friendship breakups are the worst, I swear! Robin disappears after Iceberg gets shot, and she is the prime suspect. Turns out CP9, a secret world government assassination unit, has been undercover in Water 7 for years. Lucci, Kaku, Khalifa, and Blueno reveal themselves. They're not shipwrights, they're government agents, with powers beyond anything the crew has ever faced. They beat down Luffy and Polly effortlessly. Robin sacrificing herself to save the crew from a buster call that would annihilate them. She thinks she's protecting them by leaving. The CP9 agents are legitimately terrifying. Everything about Baroque Works wasn't. These guys are. Water 7 went from shipbuilding to conspiracy overnight. Robin's gone, and the crew is processing that their archaeologist just sacrificed herself, and Luffy is done pretending that this is acceptable. He declares that they are getting Robin back, no matter what the world government says. Sanji infiltrates the sea train. Frankie is there too, because CP9 has his mentor, and everyone is converging on Annie's lobby. Meanwhile, the Going Merry gets a funeral that destroys everyone emotionally. Iceberg reveals that it can't sail anymore, and they have to let it go. The ship had a soul, a Klabaterman, and it protected them to the very end. Saying goodbye to the Mary is saying goodbye to their journey's first half. Everything changes after Water 7. Robin's backstory is disheartening. O'Hara got destroyed by a buster call when she was 8 and studying the poneglyphs. Her mother died, Saul died protecting her, and the world government put a bounty on a child calling her a demon. She's been betrayed and abandoned by everyone for 20 years, running and surviving alone. She thinks that she's a burden cursed to bring destruction. The Straw Hats show up at Annie's lobby anyway. Luffy tells Sogeking to shoot the world government flag. They declare war on the world for one person. Robin breaks down. I want to live. Take me out to the sea with you. Peak fiction. Sanji vs. Jabra is peak. A cook fighting a Wolf Zoan user who keeps on lying about having a tragic girlfriend to create openings, and Sanji almost falls for it because he's a simp. Jabra's legitimately strong with Tekai and wolf form, but Sanji's got Diablo Jamba now. lighting his leg on fire through sheer friction and willpower, which is insane. He roasts Jabra both literally and verbally. Meanwhile, Sogeking, totally not Usopp, is having the worst time sniping from the Tower of Justice, carrying the crew despite being terrified. Zoro is fighting Kaku, who has a giraffe fruit but keeps making it everyone's problem. The fights are all peak choreography. Luffy is stuck between buildings, learning to use Gear Second by remembering his fight with Aokiji and thinking about his crew in danger. Meanwhile, everyone else is holding the bridge. Frankie's out of cola, Sanji's exhausted, Zoro can barely stand, and 1,000 Marines are charging. They hold out anyway because they trust in Luffy's arrival. Robin's in tears watching her crew fight the world for her. The entire arc's tension peaks here. If they fail, everyone dies, and Robin goes to execution. Then, Luffy arrives, moving so fast that he's blurring, and hope returns. Sometimes the best backup is just showing up when it matters most. Luffy vs. Lucci is an endurance match between monsters. Lucci is a leopard Zoan user with the strongest Rokushiki techniques, moving faster than Luffy can track. Gear Second makes them even though. Luffy's blood pumps faster, giving him insane speed. Gear Third makes his fist giant, but leaves him tiny afterwards, which is a terrible trade-off. They destroy half of Enies lobby in the fighting. Usopp gives the greatest speech from the ocean about how Luffy will become the Pirate King, giving Luffy the strength to stand up when he's nearly dead. Final jet Gatling sends Lucci toward a wall, and the crew escapes on a government ship. They won against the world government, somehow. The Going Merry shows up one final time to save them, sailing itself through a storm with no crew because its Klabutterman is steering. The ship apologizes for not being able to carry them further. They have to burn it Viking funeral style because it can't sail anymore. Everyone's crying, even Zoro. Luffy apologizes for not taking better care of it. I was happy. Thank you for treating me so well. The ship talks and thanks them before sinking beneath the waves. Usopp is screaming apologies. Crying at a boat funeral is normal, actually. The Merry carried them from East Blue to Enies lobby and died protecting them. Perfect send-off. They get the Thousand Sunny from Frankie, and he joins as shipwright because Luffy stuffed him in a fridge and refused to let him say no. Everyone gets new bounties. Luffy is at 300 million, which is insane, and they sail off with 7 members because Usopp's pride won't let him come back without apologizing. Luffy waits, and Usopp finally screams an apology from the dock about being arrogant and stupid and wanting to come back. Luffy just smiles and says he can't hear him unless he says he wants back in. Usopp joins again, and the crew is whole once more. 8 Straw Hats are now heading toward Thriller Bark, where everything is about to get weird. They enter the Florian Triangle, where ships disappear constantly, and it's horror movie vibes immediately. A skeleton with an afro floats by, asking for panties, which is the most One Piece introduction possible. Brook has been alone on a ghost ship for 50 years, waiting to see Laboon again because he promised. His entire crew died from poison, and his shadow was stolen by Gecko Moria, so he can't go into the sunlight or he'll disintegrate. He's been trapped in this fog for half a century, with only his dead crewmates' bodies for company. Bink's no sake song is his coping mechanism for unbearable loneliness. Luffy immediately wants him on the crew. The Laboon connection makes this fate. Gecko Moria's entire thing is being a failed pirate who gave up on having a real crew, so he steals shadows and puts them in zombies to create an army. He is pathetic and dangerous simultaneously. Weak-willed, but his devil fruit is cracked. He stole Luffy's shadow and put it in Oars, a giant ancient corpse that now has Luffy's personality and stretching powers, which is a nightmare combination. The crew has to fight themselves as zombies, plus a giant Luffy, with none of the weaknesses. Zoro has Ryuma's corpse and actual skill. Brook's watching his captain's body as a zombie, and it's psychologically devastating and physically impossible. Bartholomew Kuma shows up after they defeat Moria, and this guy is actually unstoppable. He's a warlord and a secret revolutionary with pop-off fruit powers that can deflect anything, including concepts. Zoro's already half dead from fighting Ryoma. Luffy is unconscious from taking 100 shadows in his body to beat Oars. Kuma says that he'll spare them if Zoro takes up all of Luffy's pain. Zoro agrees to this. Kuma then proceeds to create a giant bubble. Sanji finds Zoro standing in a crater of blood. Nothing happened. Coldest moment in the series. They finally reach Sabaody, the last island before the New World, which is populated by celestial dragons, untouchable nobility who own slaves and kill people for fun. The supernovas are all here. Luffy, Zoro, Law, Kid, Killer, Hawkins, Drake, Apu, Bonnie, Beige, and Arug. Everyone's over 100 million bounty, and everyone thinks that they'll conquer the New World. The energy is competitive and intense. Then, a celestial dragon shoots someone for being in his way. Luffy sees Hatchin, the fishman, get shot just for being a fishman, and punches St. Charlos in the face, the most satisfying punch ever thrown. Worst possible timing. Admirals are about to pull up. Everything falls apart simultaneously. Kizaru arrives moving at the speed of light, kicking people through buildings casually. The Straw Hats can't touch him. He's a Logia fruit user made of light. Sentomaru shows up with pacifistas, cyborg Kuma clones with laser beams that tank everything. One pacifista nearly kills the crew, and then the real Bartholomew Kuma appears and starts making the crew disappear one by one with his paw powers, sending them flying across the world. Luffy watches his crew vanish. Zoro, Brook, Usopp, Sanji, Frankie, Nami, Chopper, Robin, all gone. And he can't stop it. He can't save anyone. Complete helplessness. The crew that's been together since East Blue is scattered, and everything they built is just gone. Luffy lands on an island of women warriors who have never seen men and immediately want to execute him. Boa Hancock is introduced, being the most beautiful and cold-hearted person alive, turning people to stone with her love fruit. Luffy accidentally sees the slave brand on her back. The marked celestial dragons burned into her when she was a child slave. She's been hiding her past in trauma and shame. Luffy doesn't judge her. He just says that he'll keep her secret and won't tell anyone. This breaks her completely. She falls in love because he showed her basic human decency. News arrives. Ace is being executed, and Luffy loses his mind. Nothing matters except for saving his brother. Luffy breaks into Impel Down, the world's most secure prison, with zero plan except for find Ace. Every level is a different hell. Level 1 has Blade Forests, Level 2 has Beastmasters, Level 3 is a heat desert, Level 4 is a literal burning hell. He meets Buggy and Mr. 3, who are somehow still alive and reluctantly team up. Bon Clay sacrifices himself to open the gates, which is devastating because he's ride or die for Luffy despite being enemies before. Luffy's running on pure willpower, fighting through guards and Warden Megalon, who has poison powers that nearly kill him. Every second matters, and Ace is on the floor below, getting closer to execution. Luffy is dying from Megalon's poison, hallucinating and convulsing. Bon Clay carries him through multiple levels to find Ivankov, the queen of level 5.5, a secret paradise inside the prison. Ivankov has hormone powers that can save Luffy with a 10% survival rate treatment that takes days. Luffy takes it because he has to save Ace. He wakes up, learns Ace already left for execution, and absolutely loses it. Breaks out of Impel Down with every dangerous prisoner that he can recruit. Crocodile, Mr. 1, Daz Bones, Jinbei, they're all enemies but united in escaping. Bon Clay stays behind to open the gates, sacrificing freedom for Luffy. The loyalty is unmatched. Whitebeard arrives at Marineford with his entire fleet to save Ace, and it's the most legendary entrance ever. All 3 admirals are there, every warlord, 100,000 marines, and Whitebeard just walks in anyway because Ace is his son. Little Oars Jr., a giant who's friends with Ace, charges the execution platform alone and gets destroyed by the warlords, but keeps on crawling forward. The war starts, and it is complete chaos. Division commanders fighting admirals, Whitebeard cracking the sky, Marco the Phoenix tanking everything, and Luffy crashes through the sky with every Impel Down prisoner backing him. Most insane war in anime, genuinely. Luffy's fighting through a war zone where everyone is stronger than him. Admirals, warlords, vice admirals. Mihawk tests him casually, and Kizaru shoots lasers. Now Koji freezes everything, and through all this, Luffy keeps on moving forward because Ace is right there on the execution platform. Whitebeard's taking damage but refuses to fall. Garp's torn between duty and family. Sengoku's orchestrating everything. The admirals are legitimately overwhelming. Akainu's magma burns through everything. Aokiji freezes oceans, Kizaru moves at light speed, and Luffy unlocks Conqueror's Haki unconsciously, knocking out thousands. Marco and Vista attack Akainu together and can't hurt him. This is what the new world means. They're all outmatched and fighting anyways. Whitebeard gets stabbed by Squard, who is manipulated, has a heart attack, and still keeps on fighting because he's built different. The Marines raise the siege walls to trap everyone and execute Ace early. Little Oars Jr.'s body becomes a bridge, and Luffy is hit by Kizaru, frozen by Aokiji, and nearly killed repeatedly. Mr. 3 makes a wax key, and they unlock Ace's handcuffs. With that, he's finally free. For one beautiful moment, it looks like they won. Ace and Luffy are escaping together, and Whitebeard is holding back the Marines, and everyone is retreating. Then, Akainu says Whitebeard is a has-been loser, and Ace stops running. Everything falls apart again. Ace turns back to defend Whitebeard's honor because he can't let anyone disrespect his father. Akainu attacks Luffy while he's exhausted and helpless. Ace blocks the magma fist with his own body, taking the hit meant for his brother. His organs burn through, and he falls into Luffy's arms, apologizing for being a bad brother, when he's been perfect the entire time. Thank you for loving me. He dies, smiling. Luffy's screaming, mentally breaking, and can't process what just happened. Ace's Vivre card burns to nothing. The brother who saved him, protected him, and believed in him is just gone. Luffy goes catatonic. Worst moment in One Piece, genuinely devastating. Nothing is okay. So just give me a minute, I gotta recover from this again. Okay, let's move on. Whitebeard sees Ace die and decides the Marines will pay for everything. Half his face gets blown off by Akainu, and he keeps on fighting. He takes hundreds of wounds, stays standing, and delivers the most important line in the series. The One Piece is real! Then, he dies on his feet, standing tall with 0 scars on his back because he never ran from a fight. The era shifts completely. Blackbeard shows up, steals Whitebeard's earthquake fruits somehow because he's built wrong, and now has 2 devil fruits, which should be impossible. Shanks arrives and stops the war, and Luffy's been evacuated unconscious. Marineford is destroyed, and everything has changed. Luffy wakes up after the war and has the worst mental breakdown in anime history. Ace is dead. He couldn't save him, and he's spiraling into complete despair. Jinbei stops him from self-destructing by asking what he still has, and Luffy realizes his crew. They're alive, scattered but alive. Rayleigh finds him, and they plan a message using the Marines' news coverage, 3D2Y. Meaning the crew should train 2 years instead of meeting in 3 days at the same place as planned. Everyone gets the message. Luffy trains with Rayleigh, learning Haki, observation, armament, and conquerors. And 2 years pass. Everyone becomes stronger, and the reunion is perfect. The new world awaits, and this time they are ready. The time skip ends with everyone returning to Sabaody looking completely different. Luffy is taller and more confident, Zoro has 1 eye and is cracked, Sanji is blonde tornado energy, Nami is all grown up, Usopp is actually buff, Chopper's cuter, Robin's more elegant, and Frankie's a cyborg now, and Brooke's a rock star. Fake Straw Hats are recruiting people using their name, and the real crew shuts that down immediately. They demonstrate their new power. Luffy one-shots a pacifista with a single Haki-infused punch that used to nearly kill them. Sentomaru is shocked, and they dive to Fishman Island. The new world begins. Everyone is stronger, more mature, and ready for what's coming. They land on Fishman Island 10,000 meters underwater, where racism is still the main problem. Hody Jones and his crew are fish supremacists who want to restart the war with humans, and he's been eating steroids that make him insanely strong temporarily. the island's beautiful. Shirahoshi's a giant mermaid princess who's been locked in a tower for 10 years because Vanderdecken keeps on throwing marriage proposals at her. Literally, anything that he touches flies at her forever. Queen Otohime tried to end racism through peace and got assassinated. Fisher Tiger freed slaves, but died bitter. The cycle of hatred continues, and Luffy is about to end it. Fisher Tiger's backstory shows that he climbed the Red Line alone, broke into Marjoa, and freed every slave the Celestial Dragons owned, including Boa Hancock. He was a hero who hated humans for valid reasons, but tried to move past it. He died because he wouldn't accept a human blood transfusion, choosing death over compromising his principles. Arlong was his crewmate, who only took the hatred and none of the hope. Jinbei tried to bridge the gap between species. Otohime preached forgiveness and got shot by a human who was actually manipulated by Hody. The tragedy is that the good people keep dying and the cycle continues. Luffy doesn't care about any of it, he just punches racism. Luffy fights Hody underwater in the plaza, demonstrating how much stronger he's gotten. Red Hawk is fire underwater, which breaks physics but looks incredible. Hody has taken steroids, becoming more monstrous but weak mentally, and Luffy beats him with basic attacks, proving that hatred makes you weaker, not stronger. Shirahoshi is revealed to be Poseidon, one of the ancient weapons that can control Sea Kings, which definitely won't be important later. Big Mom's territory is their next destination, and she's already mad that they're coming. Luffy declares that he'll beat her and take Fishman Island under his protection. They escape headed to the New World, and everything's different now. They land on Punk Hazard, an island that's half burning and half frozen because Akainu and Akoji fought here for 10 days for the fleet admiral position. Akainu won, Aokiji left the Marines, and the island's permanently scarred. Law is here proposing an alliance to take down Kaido, which sounds suicidal, but Luffy agrees immediately because impulse control died in East Blue. Caesar Clown is experimenting on children, making artificial devil fruits for Doflamingo's underground operation. The crew gets separated again, and bodies get swapped because Law's fruit is ridiculous, and Nami is put in Frankie's body while Sanji is in Nami, having the time of his life. Yeah, pure chaos. Law's backstory reveals that he was a terminally ill child saved by Corazon, Doflamingo's brother, who was an undercover Marine. Corazon fed Law the Up fruit to save his life, and then died protecting him from Doflamingo. Virgo's Doflamingo's spy in the Marines, with Haki so strong that he breaks bamboo with it. Law cuts the entire facility in half with his room ability, which is insane, and they capture Caesar, declare war on Doflamingo, and head to Dressrosa. The alliance is real, and Kaido's in their sights. Big Mom's already mad at them. 2 Yonko as enemies before they even reach the New World properly. This is fine. Dressrosa looks beautiful, until you realize that Doflamingo's controlling everyone with string powers, turning people into toys that everyone forgets existed, and running an underground coliseum for entertainment. Luffy enters the tournament for Ace's flame fruit, disguised as Lucy because subtlety is dead. Every fighter wants it. Bartolomeo, who's a Luffy fanboy, Bellamy, who's loyal to Doflamingo despite being trash-talked, and mysterious gladiators everywhere. Law gets captured immediately because plans never work. Doflamingo's a celestial dragon who's lost his status, got tortured, and became a black market arms dealer. He is legit terrifying, charismatic, and controls an entire country through fear and string puppets. Rebecca has been fighting in the Coliseum her entire life, hated by the country for being the criminal's daughter. Turns out her dad Kairos was turned into a toy soldier by Sugar's power, making everyone forget that he existed. He's been protecting Rebecca for years, and she doesn't remember that he's her father. When Sugar gets knocked out, all the toys turn back to human, and everyone's memories return. Kairos transforms back, hugs Rebecca for the first time in 10 years, and she finally remembers her dad. Dressrosa realizes thousands of people were erased from their lives. The country revolts, and Doflamingo responds by creating a death game. Bring him the Straw Hats or die. Everything escalates immediately. Sabo's alive. Luffy's other brother, who everyone thought had died as a kid, survived, lost his memory, and joined the Revolutionary Army, and showed up at Dressrosa to stop Doflamingo's weapons trade. He enters the Coliseum, destroys the arena casually, and claims Ace's flame fruit. Watching Luffy's brother eat Ace's fruit and inherit the Fire Fist is emotional overload. They reunite, and Luffy cries because he thought that he had lost all of his brothers. Sabo is insanely strong now, fighting on par with admirals. He holds off Fujitora while Luffy fights Doflamingo. The brother parallel is beautiful and painful. Ace died, Sabo lives, and the flame fruit continues protecting Luffy through family. Luffy versus Doflamingo is personal. This man's been poisoning an entire country, enslaving people, and working with Kaido. Doflamingo's string powers are cracked. He can control people, slice buildings, and fly using clouds. Luffy unlocks Gear 4th Boundman, inflating his muscles with haki and looking absolutely ridiculous while hitting like a meteor. He bounces around like a ball, moves faster than Doflamingo can react, and the King Kong gun final attack is devastating. Doflamingo crashes through the city into bedrock, and Dressrosa is free. The Straw Hat Grand Fleet forms. 7 crews pledge loyalty to Luffy, creating a 5,000-person alliance. Luffy accidentally became a legend leading an army. The Yonko better be worried. The crew reaches Zou, an island on a giant elephant that's been walking through the ocean for 1,000 years because One Piece world building is normal. Jack attacked using poison gas trying to find Reizo, tortured the minks, and left them to die. The minks survived and protected Reizo anyways because loyalty transcends species. Inuarashi and Nekomamushi reveal that they're waiting for the Kozuki clan's return, and the minks have been the Kozuki's retainers for centuries. Sanji is forced to leave because his family's being held hostage by Big Mom, who wants him to marry her daughter. Sanji leaves a note, and Luffy decides to crash at Yonko's tea party with zero plan. Luffy and half the crew roll into Big Mom's territory where everything is made of food and souls. Big Mom can put souls into objects, creating homies that are alive and terrifying. Cracker has 1 billion biscuit soldiers, and Luffy has to eat his way through them with Nami's help. It takes 11 hours. Luffy wins by being too stubborn to stop eating. They infiltrate the castle, and Sanji's family appears. Vinsmoke Judge and his emotionless super soldier children, who abused Sanji his entire childhood for being normal and showing empathy. His backstory reveals why he's so protective of food and women. His mom sacrificed his life just to keip him human. Reiju's the only sibling who cares. His family is toxic. Big Mom's a complete psychopath who threatens her own children for disappointing her. She has a wedding planned where she'll murder Sanji's family for their technology. Pudding, the bride, has a third eye and a gun because his wedding is an assassination. The plan falls apart when Sanji's too nice to let his garbage family die. Luffy crashes the wedding, declaring war on Big Mom, and chaos erupts. Katakuri appears, and he's legitimately terrifying. He has future sight haki, has never lost a fight, and his mochi powers are broken. He sees Luffy as a threat and decides to kill him personally. The crew is completely outmatched but committed anyways. Luffy versus Katakuri becomes an endurance war lasting 12 hours in the mirror world. Katakuri is stronger, faster, and can use the future, making him impossible to hit. And Luffy is getting destroyed but keeps on standing because giving up isn't in his programming. He starts copying Katakuri's future sight mid-battle through pure combat instinct. Katakuri respects him, asking if he'll come back to beat Big Mom. Luffy says yes, and Katakuri falls on his back for the first time ever, acknowledging Luffy's growth. Meanwhile, the crew is escaping. Pedro sacrifices himself by blowing up the fleet. Sanji bakes a wedding cake to stop Big Mom's rampage, and they barely survive. Luffy's declared the 5th emperor now. All the world's leaders gather at Marijo for the reverie, and its political tension's central. Shirahoshi almost gets enslaved by a celestial dragon again because they are irredeemably awful. Vivi's in danger. Sabo and the Revolutionary Army infiltrate to declare war, and Imu-sama appears sitting on the empty throne that symbolizes that no one rules the world. Except someone does. The world's government has been lying about everything. Sabo tries to rescue Kuma, who's been turned into a slave cyborg for the Celestial Dragon's amusement. Something terrible happens that gets covered up by the media. We still don't know what. Wapol sees Imu and runs. The foundation of the world is cracking. The crew reaches Wano, which is stuck in the Edo period under Kaido and Orochi's tyrannical rule. Luffy immediately starts a fight that he can't win, gets one-shot by Kaido in dragon form with a singular Thunder Bagua, and wakes up in prison with zero memory of losing because the hit was that devastating. Zoro's killing magistrates accidentally, Sanji is infiltrating bathhouses, and Law's plans crumble because Luffy has the tactical patience of a toddler. They meet Kinemum's wife, who's been waiting 20 years for him to return, and the country is starving on purpose. Kaido is the strongest creature alive. This is the real New World. Oden's backstory begins, and it is devastating. He was Wano's strongest samurai, sailed with Whitebeard, and then joined Roger for the final voyage and learned the truth about the world. He came back to save Wano from Orochi and Kaido, but got tricked into dancing like a fool for 5 years to save hostages. When he finally attacked, he was captured and boiled alive in oil for an hour to save his retainers. Oden stood in boiling oil, holding 9 people above his head, smiling, and when he was shot, his final words were about opening Wano's borders. His wife Toki walked into the flames with him after sending their retainers 20 years forward with her time fruit, generational trauma at its finest. Wano's even worse than it appeared. Kaido is forcing people to eat smile fruits that only have a 10% success rate. The 90% who fail lose the ability to express any emotion except for smiling and laughing. They're crying inside, but their faces only smile. Toko laughs at her father's funeral because she can't stop, and Orochi kills people for smiling at him. The cruelty is systemic and intentional. Luffy learns advanced armament haki in prison from an old man Hyogoro. Zoro gets Enma, Oden's sword that drains haki automatically, and Big Mom shows up with amnesia, then gets her memory back and allies with Kaido temporarily. 2 Yonko in one place. The raid preparation intensifies. The raid on Onigashima begins with the entire Samurai Allegiance versus Kaido and Big Mom's combined forces. Luffy is leading an army now. The Straw Hats, the Heart Pirates, the Kid Pirates, the Samurai, and the Minks in Sulong form. They sail to the island in a storm with zero fear. Kinemon's plan actually works for the first 5 minutes before falling apart. Kaido and Big Mom are drinking together, and the Alliance's first sight is 2 Yonko casually hanging out. The odds are impossible. 9 scabbards attack Kaido together using Oden's techniques, and they actually make him bleed. And then he gets serious, and the power gap shows. Act 3 escalates immediately. Luffy reaches the roof and fights Kaido with the worst generation, Law, Kid, Killer, and Zoro backing him up. It's the first time Luffy's fought alongside rivals as equals. Kaido's in dragon form, tanking everything. Big Mom's using Zeus and Prometheus, and the attacks are insane. Ocean Sovereignty, Thunder Bagua, Kong Gatling. Luffy unlocks Advanced Conqueror's Haki mid-battle, coding his attacks in Black Lightning. He hits Kaido so hard that they split the sky like Whitebeard and Roger. Zoro scars Kaido with Ashura before passing out from Hawkeye damage. The rooftop battle is peak choreography. 5 supernovas versus 2 Yonko. This is the pinnacle. Zoro fights King and becomes the king of hell, literally. Luffy loses to Kaido again and dies before his devil fruit awakens, revealing the truth. It's not the gum-gum fruit, it's the human fruit model Nika from the sun god of liberation. Gear 5th transforms Luffy into a cartoon character with white hair, reality-bending powers, and the most ridiculous fighting style imaginable. He grabs lightning, turns Kaido into a jump rope, runs on air, and fights with pure joy and freedom. The awakening turns his heartbeat into drums of liberation. Kaido fights seriously using drunk forms and awakened dragon powers. The final clash is Luffy's giant fist versus Kaido's flame dragon, and Luffy punches him so hard that he crashes through Onigashima into the Earth's mantle. The entire country sees the dawn. Wano is free, but the cost was devastating. Ashura Doji died, Izo died, and Kanjuro betrayed them and also died. Momonosuke aged himself up almost 20 years to become the adult shogun that Wano needs. He creates flame clouds holding up the island while crying because he's still 8 mentally. Yamato declares that she's Kozuki Oden, which is complicated, but she's joining the crew in spirit. Luffy, Law, and Kid all get 3 billion berry bounties, and Luffy and Buggy are declared emperors, which is hilarious for Buggy and deserved for Luffy. The Straw Hat Grand Fleet's bounties are released. Everyone's a problem now. Shanks appears in Wano's waters, but leaves without meeting Luffy because the timing is wrong. Next stop, Egghead. They land on Egghead, the most technologically advanced island, where Vegapunk lives. Except Vegapunk is 6 people. He split his brain into satellites representing logic, evil, wisdom, greed, and his original self. Bonnie is searching for her father, Kuma, and the backstory is just pure suffering. Kuma was a revolutionary, a king, and the kindest person alive, who suffered more than anyone. He became a warlord to protect Bonnie and let Vegapunk turn him into a cyborg weapon, and gave up his humanity and memories so that Bonnie could live. The Celestial Dragons used him as a slave. The cruelty is unbearable. Luffy is furious. I'm not crying, you're crying. His entire backstory was just absolutely gut-wrenching. Saturn arrives and transforms into a demon spider hybrid because the Gorosei aren't human. They're monsters who've ruled for centuries. His powers are legitimately horrifying. He can age people to death, summon circles that explode, and regenerate from anything. Bonnie stabs him, and he doesn't care. Kuma arrives, punches Saturn to protect Bonnie despite being mindless, proving love transcends programming. Luffy goes gear 5th, and the fight is chaos. Kizaru is torn between duty and friendship with Vegapunk. The other 4 elders all arrive. 5 ancient demons versus the Straw Hats. Vegapunk's about to die, but not before broadcasting the truth to the world. Vegapunk dies, but his broadcast activates worldwide, revealing everything the world government has hidden for 800 years. The world is sinking due to ancient weapons. The Void Century existed. The ancient kingdom was real and had ideals the government feared. Joy Boy was real. The One Piece exists. The truth is finally coming out, and the world's reactions are mixed. Some deny it, some believe, and some panic. The Gorosei are trying to stop the broadcast and failing. The Straw Hats are escaping Egghead with the giant pirates' help. Dory and Brogy return as legends, and everything is escalating toward the final war. The journey's almost over, and nothing will be the same. Phew! Okay, if you enjoyed this recap, please give it a like and comment down below any anime that you would like me to recap next. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.